Plastic pollution remains to be a major concern in the country. Now, a social enterprise offers upcycling technologies to tackle hard to process plastics. Now, joining us in the studio is Operations Coordinator for Reform Plastic, Chino Borromeo. Good morning, Chino. Great having you here in the studio.
Good morning, Paolo. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. Yeah.
All right, so Reform Plastics, before we talk about, of course, the work that you do, can you tell us a bit more about the organization and, of course, why this is so important to the effort to really tackle the plastic problem in the country?
Sure thing. So Reform Plastic is a social enterprise under the creative business lab Evergreen Labs, started in Vietnam in 2016.
Yeah.
So Reform Plastic was the first social enterprise that for a year now, we've piloted several franchisees or facilities that upcycle plastic waste here in the Philippines.
You know, when you take a look at the plastic problem in the Philippines, you look at most of the statistics for many, many years in the past. The Philippines is one of the top contributors of plastic waste in the world, not just in the region, but in the world. Just can you give us an idea of what the scale is with regards to the problems of plastic waste in the Philippines?
Yeah, sure. So the latest statistics we have on the Philippines' contribution to plastic waste overall, I think we are contributing around 2.7, I think is the latest number annually. So I think this means that each individual annually produces 3.3 kilograms of plastic waste. That's a lot because it's plastic waste. No? So I think for most, that's like more than a sack of plastic waste every year. And that continues to grow. The trend is that as we're not able to accommodate a lot of these difficult plastics, the amount that we all produce each year and as a country, it keeps on growing. Asia Pacific deals with 600 million annually, and we're the top contributor of that. Despite all of the efforts that we've seen, I think there's still a lot to be done.
Yeah, your Reform Plastics isn't into recycling, you're into upcycling. There's a difference with regards to that. Just what is upcycling and what does it do with regards to the hard plastics or the hard to process plastics?
Right. So recycling is the reusing of the product again, right? So if we're able to use this bottle again as a bottle that is recycling. Upcycling for us was the main way we can resolve the hard to manage plastic. This is the sachets, plastic bags, flexible plastics overall. We saw this as the target area because a lot of our PET bottles, the rigid plastics, are actually the technology for recycling them, the trade value for it is actually very good. We know that junk shops take in a lot of these already. They're able to trade and bring it to the right places. But the sachets, the multi-layer packagings, these are the hard to manage plastic. And we saw that we could turn these back into usable, sometimes hardware products, sometimes construction materials. There's a way, and we found technologies that can really accommodate for such ideas.
I think you brought something to actually show an example of that.
Sure thing. This is my small sample of a recycled plastic board. This is one of the solutions that we have at Reform Plastic. We have over 14 franchisees worldwide who have adopted this plastic to board solution. So they take multi-layer packaging, sachets, plastic bags, and they turn them into these boards. These come in 4x8. They're meant to be a plyboard, cement board substitute. That it's very usable. It's a hardware product. It's one that we see the market is already in need of. We're using plyboards for almost all hardware construction. So we saw this as a great solution because especially in Asia Pacific, even in South Asia, that this is a very common hardware material. And we don't want to give a solution that's just machines that, we'll make whatever out of it. We want to provide the output that makes sense for communities.
Yeah, so we're taking a look at that here. It's a nice thickness and of course, I'm sure up to code with regards to being a building material. You talk about the product. Now, are there any success stories that we can see here to show that, Reform Plastic is not just, creating the product, but actually doing the work and making sure that there's a bit of success. If I'm not mistaken, two good examples are Mandaluyong and in Guimaras, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. So aside from just having these facilities that upcycle the boards and establishing them in many different places for a decentralized waste management operation, we also activate different mechanisms in the waste value chain.
Yeah.
So that is collection programs. You mentioned our program with Barangay Edition Hills in Mandaluyong. We've enabled them to have their informal waste collectors provide these low-value plastics. I think we're collecting 3 to 4 tons each collection program. I think we're having that every month. So we're doing that for many other barangays all around. We're taking a lot of their non-value plastics. We're bringing them to the right facilities, such as our franchisee facility, and producing usable material. Through EPR as well, the Extended Producer Responsibility Law, wherein now private businesses who use plastic packaging are obligated to divert all of those waste, to contribute to waste programs like ours. We're able to give them more incentives. We're able to give them subsidies so that it's not just the diverter, the recycler that makes the money. It's not just the transport, the hauler, the aggregator. It's the collectors themselves that we're able to bring value to.
Well, you mentioned Mandaluyong, Edition Hills. Of course, you also talked about Guimaras. How important is the connection with the LGU with regards to what your efforts are? And of course, I'm sure it's one thing for LGUs to give commitment, but then has there been instances where in the commitment has not necessarily been followed through on?
Definitely, the LGUs are a key point into, I guess, establishing a lot of these programs. They are, I think, the main stakeholder, if not the community themselves. The LGU, we try to partner with a lot of different LGUs. Guimaras is an example, the whole province. We have an arrangement with them where we collect their plastics and send them to the right diverters. We have programs with barangays, municipalities, cities, so we're working at each level of scale. And yes, it is difficult, definitely, working with being a private business, a social enterprise, working with local government units. There's definitely challenges. We're trying to overcome those. We're overcoming those bit by bit, such as with our, recently we've been trying to get our own procurement licenses so that we can directly bid if that's something that will suit our needs, if that's something that we want to target for local governments, we want to provide them directly, or we do PPPs, public-private partnerships, wherein the financing can be eased. It's much more, the transactions go more fluidly. So there's many different solutions, I think, when working with different organizations. And we're very open. I think we try to see what each stakeholder needs, and we really listen. We really try to get down to that community level. We analyze the trash that they have on hand, and we make it make sense. The financing is definitely one of the more difficult parts in this space. It's often going to be a battle of, can we afford to make the solution work? And we do all of the financial modeling. We do all of the necessary conversations just to get people to both understand and really invest and cooperate with this whole idea of tackling these non-value plastics.
Well, Chino, hopefully we can find a way to help you out with the financial stuff, because we're going to ask you now to reach out to people to find a way to support your efforts here, your advocacy. So could you let us know where we can find you, where we can follow you, and of course, how they can reach out to you if they want to help and support?
Sure thing. So you can reach out to us on our different platforms. We have a website. We have our social media for Reform Plastic and Evergreen Labs. I guess what I can plug here is we invite organizations, waste-interested organizations, local governments to come reach out to us. We want to be able to share our solutions with different stakeholders across the country. We want to be able to see where we can bring in technology to your operations already, because we're all dealing with waste. We're all dealing with this issue, and the numbers just keep growing. But with our affordable and very thoughtful solutions towards this problem, I think we can make a big difference all across the country.
He is the operations coordinator of Reform Plastic, Chino Borromeo. Maraming salamat. Thank you very much for bringing this, for showing us all your efforts, and of course, best of luck, and hopefully we can talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here. Thank you.